Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed watching my travel vlog and slideshows the last couple weeks. I know there was a hiatus of a couple days where I didn't get videos out on my regular Wednesday and Friday. That's due to the fact that the Wi-Fi service that I had was not good enough for me to be able to upload, or it was only in the lobby and so slow that I would have to spend like 5-6 hours sitting in the lobby to wait for it to upload, and I wasn't willing to do that. So you ended up seeing a lot of my videos after I was actually back. I've been back since March 3rd, and so you've you've had over a week of watching everything. I gave you all my photos as a slideshow, and there was over 1,200 photos, I believe. So I split them up so my videos would not be longer than 20 minutes each. So I hope you enjoyed that. I had a great time in Egypt. It was a great trip. Uh, the part that I just don't understand is the Canada website advises you not to go to Egypt. And I don't understand that. I really don't understand why the Canada government website is advising you not to. Like, Egypt was so safe. Like, I understand over by this Suez, where it's on the eastern border, closer uh, to where ISIS is and stuff like that. Not to go into that area, but overall, Egypt's a very safe place. Uh, Giza, Cairo, basically the same city, similar to Ottawa and Gatineau or Ottawa and Hull. All it is a river that divides the two cities. Um, but the west side is Giza of the Nile, and the east side's Cairo. Very safe cities. Aswan, another safe city. You can walk around, no problems. Luxor was a great city, uh, no problems. Now the last two, there were only about 500,000 people, which is still big compared to a lot of Canadian cities, uh, but very safe, very safe. Uh, Safer in my mind than walking downtown Toronto. Uh, well, maybe not downtown Toronto, but majority areas of Toronto, I would not feel as safe as I felt as I was in Egypt. Uh, Going to the sites, the touristic sites, the historical sites, whatever you want to call them, they're amazing. They are simply amazing. I cannot tell you how great it is in words. It's something you have to experience. I know there's tons of pictures out there. You can Google any of them and you can see whatever you want to see, but there's a difference between seeing it in a picture and experiencing it, walking and just seeing it all, and then hearing the history from a fantastic, fantastic tour guide. I went with G Adventures, and my tour guide, his name was Michael, and the guy was just fantastic. Uh, like, he helped out quite a bit whenever if you had an issue, he helped you out. He knew his history. He knew how to answer questions, to even stuff that wasn't historical, just about the culture of Egypt. He was a Christian, but he could answer questions about the Muslims in the country, which the country is a majority of Muslim, but about 15% are Christians. It was just, he's a fantastic person. I would definitely advise going with G Adventures on the trip, and if you can. They like to have small groups to a maximum of about 15 people, which is awesome. Some other groups will fill the whole bus with 50 people or whatever, like a large bus. G Adventures is totally different. We visited local families for meals, which is another great thing because your money is going in to help the economy of the local people by paying them to make you a meal instead of just always going to restaurants. You're not going to high-end name hotels like the Hilton or Holiday Inn or Best Day or Best Western or whatever they're called. You're going to local hotels that are owned by local people. Another great advantage of being with G Adventures is you're putting money back in, and then seeing what life was, what it like, not what is like, but is like there, like seeing the houses, seeing how farmers work, when you're going from being able to drive between cities, seeing what the shops look like. Most of them were like street vendors kind of thing. Not fully like they still had the building, but a lot of the stuff was outside to advertise, to get people. Just look at how they sell their meat. It's just hanging there, and you go and you get your meat, and it's a whole different world. And then to learn that the average person only makes about $400 per month. That was just shocking. Like, compared to what we make, that is below the poverty line for a Canadian. That is way below the poverty line for a Canadian to be making, and that's the average person. And they really strive on tourism, and unfortunately, because of the revolutions, they lost a lot of tourism. Now, as of 2017, tourism started to slowly come back, but it's still nowhere near as what it is. And I would have to say it's largely due to our governments saying do not go to Egypt, because people are still thinking that it's dangerous, but it's not. It's such a safe country, and if you want to go, just go. Like, I would suggest to go with a tourist group, because it makes it's a huge difference. But if you don't like having to be structured, and be like, okay, we gotta go to this next place, and so forth, then that's up to you. But you may not see as much if you say, okay, I'm only going to go for a week and I'm going to take my own time and do everything. You may not see as much as if you're on a tour and where everything's structured as, okay, we're going to see this, we're going to see this, we're going to see this. That's what I love about tours. And because G Adventures has a small group, you're not waiting a long time for everyone to get through, getting all their pictures and souvenirs for you to get on the bus and go to the next spot. So it was great, and we still have lots of free time for ourselves to go through the bazaar and look at like in Aswan, the bazaar was a mixture of tourist and local. It was a local and tourist bazaar. So you had stores, shops that were designed for tourists trying to sell souvenirs, and then you had your shops that would be selling foods and meat and like your fruits and your meats and I think there was cookware I seen, and then I really loved the Aswan Bazaar over the Luxor. The Luxor one that was right behind our hotel was completely just tourist. Uh, the shops were for tourists, and so buying souvenirs, and it just wasn't as enjoyable. But as you know, if you've been following my vlogs, you know I have anxiety problems, and so in Luxor I ended up having an anxiety attack because they were constantly on me, asking me to come into their shops when all I wanted to do was walk through, and so I had to basically run out of there and run back to the hotel to just kind of get out of my anxiety attack, which is unfortunate. Where the Aswan one was, there was a few tourist shops and then a lot of shops for the locals, so I could walk there peacefully without being harassed as much and just absorb what life in Egypt is like. And I really found myself amazed with life in Egypt, taking pictures of the farmers that were trying to take their crop wherever they take their crop to be sold, or maybe to another farm or something, using a mule or a donkey to get there because they don't have the money to own a tractor, or and then another person using like a trike to get stuff moved around. People, their transportation system was basically a local that owned a vehicle, like a bus, or not a bus, a van or a truck that could load people in. That was just kind of amazing. I don't know how much they charge the locals to ride on that, but I mean that was an interesting thing. And you'd see people that were just basically holding on from the outside of the vehicle to get to the next spot. So, and then I was taking pictures of the homes, and then you'd see lots and lots of mosques all over the place. And the reason why there's so many mosques so relatively close to each other is because most people can't afford a car or a truck or a bike to get from place to place. And when I say bike, I mean like motorcycle, to get to place to. So they have all these mosques nearby that they walk to, and so they can still do their prayer 5 times a day, I believe, is how often the Muslims did. And it gave me a whole different insight of what life is like for people in the Middle East. Sure, Africa is part of or not Africa. I mean, Egypt is part of Africa, and so it's, some people don't consider it the Middle East, but it is part of the beginnings of the Middle East. It's got Arabian, Arabic language. It's mostly a Muslim country, and the thing was, it's nowhere near as strict as what Western media tries to make Muslim countries look like. It was a really great country, and I would recommend going to it. I mean, it, like, if all you want to see is the history, go see it. If you want to see how the people live, again, go see it. Like, it will change your mind about a lot. Being there, I went originally to see the history of the country, and I managed to have my mind blown by the people, the culture, and that it was way different than what our media tries to make it look like, because we're told over and over that Islam is bad in countries that are and have a government that is Muslim regulated is bad, and this was a country that is a Muslim country, that the government officials are Muslim, and there was nothing wrong with it. I mean, women were free to go do whatever they wanted. Basically, they didn't have to be led by their man to go anywhere, and they were free to be able to wave and smile to a tourist, and the girls. There was a few young girls that would come up to me and want to get a selfie with me. I don't understand the reason behind that, but a lot of teenagers and younger like to get selfies with the tourists. That I don't understand, but that's part of their culture for some reason. I don't know if it's because they haven't had a whole lot of tourists over the years, and so it's a big deal when they do see tourists, or what the reason is. But it was totally different. Like, I was always told a Muslim female cannot say hi to anyone because of the structure of the Muslim religion. And meanwhile, the staff at the hotels or wherever I went, they were free to say hello back to me when I said hello to them. So totally different than what our media tells us, and the whole myth about the Muslims is totally wrong. And how far am I going here? So yeah, I'm coming up to 20 minutes here, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed my Egypt trip. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I am hoping to do another trip this year, most likely back to the Middle East. I'm hoping. We can't really say right now. As you can see, I got paperwork back here to do my taxes. We'll have to see what my taxes are like. Do I owe, or do I get money back? And if I owe, how much do I owe? And so that could be a contributor. But I don't think my taxes are going to be a big deal. It's just it's all about what I plan to do with my kids this summer, and this week with March break. How much I'm doing with them is another contributor. I'm really hoping to do a lot with my children over March break, and so yeah, because I like to spoil my kids, and it gets me out of the house. Gets me out of that door back there that you see. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys give Egypt a chance if you're a traveler. If you like to actually travel, see the world, see the cultures and such. I'm talking about people that don't just go to like the Caribbean in the winter, to Mexico, Cuba, or whatever, just to get away from the winter and sit on a beach all day long. I'm talking about real travelers who experience real history, real culture, and see the world for what it really is. I highly recommend Egypt. Just be safe with your camera, especially at the Giza pyramids. Do not make the mistake I did by letting one of the locals grab your camera. If they go for your camera, you grab onto it and you hold on tight. That was a mistake of mine. I'm not going to say too much bad about it. My guide really helped me out on there, but my only advice is really don't let anyone touch your camera, because the next thing you know, they may be demanding money out of you to get your camera back. So yeah, besides that, Egypt's a great place. It really is, and I highly recommend it. It is safe beyond what the websites say it is. So give it a chance. Go there, see those pyramids, see the Sphinx, see the temples, and you'll be surprised at a lot of stuff. And the one biggest thing was the Christian graffiti in the temples. I did not expect that. Now, it's not bad graffiti like today's graffiti. This was done like 2,000 years ago when they were trying to leave the persecution of the Romans hide, so they hid in the temples of the ancient Egyptians, and so they would draw pictures or stuff, and so there's symbols throughout the temples that show that the Christians were there, and it's not awful or anything. It actually blends in quite nicely. So it just kind of surprised me to see these images that were put into Egyptian temples, because I didn't realize the Christians that fled to hide from being killed by the Romans for being Christian were hiding in these temples. So that was a new lesson for me. But there is lots to learn about Egypt. A lot of it I probably have already forgotten, so I'm glad I bought books on Egypt and the pharaohs. So yeah, if you enjoy history, you enjoy historical places, you want to see another culture, you want to give another area of the world a chance, regardless that they may be a different religion than you, and you want to see the truth, not what the media tells you, go on this trip, because Egypt is just an amazing country. If there wasn't like another 185 countries out there that I would in the world, then I'd definitely go back. I think that maybe if I'm in the area, I probably would go back just to definitely see the guide again, meet his family. That would be awesome. And I would definitely go back to Egypt, time permitted, and everything depending on my list. But anyone that knows me knows I want to see as much of the world as possible, and so I usually don't give many countries a second visit, because there's so much I want to see. And I hope you like this. I hope you give this a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because I try to get videos out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Unless I'm on vacation, then it may not be as well, but I'm not going to be on vacation for a while. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I like to update you on my life, how things are going, because I mostly talk about mental health and trying to get myself better. But lately it was the trip, and I'm glad I could share the trip with you. So I will see you next time. Take care and stay subscribed.